Okay, so welcome to today's content call. Originally, in the previous content, we had explored level 1 of Love, Sex, Genius, which was satisfaction. And so initially I thought we would move on to level 2, which is creativity. But as I was preparing the content, I started to realize that there was a much deeper aspect of this first level that I hadn't initially been seeing. And it's something that I know very deeply and intimately from my own personal experience, and that we all know really from our personal experience. And so we'll be exploring this today, and to me it's very profound, and I'm really excited about it because if there's anything that is catalytic, it's this. Oh no, hold on a second. Oh, I can't change that right now. Okay, I'm just gonna let that be as it is. So let's explore more deeply the awakening power of the first level of Love, Sex, Genius. That's what that says. Satisfaction. And more specifically, dissatisfaction. So this is the deeper part of it, is dissatisfaction. So our dissatisfaction in any area of our life, it could be love, it could be sex, it could be genius, is an essential part of the human experience that is at the core of human seeking and evolution. So, I love this quote by Henry David Thoreau, who looked around and he just saw, wow, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And this is really the human condition. And it has been driving people to seek the truth and to seek a deeper reality and a deeper inner peace for forever. If you look at the story of the Buddha was someone who should have felt satisfied because he had everything that one could want. He was a prince. He never knew a moment of hardship in his life. But he looked around, at the world and the suffering that he saw, and he felt a gnawing, deep dissatisfaction that didn't let him rest. He was completely dissatisfied at such a core level that he decided to leave it all and leave his family and renounce all material comforts in search of a real solution. What's really at the core here? What's really going on? He was looking for the truth, and he was looking for a way out of that dissatisfaction and that discomfort that he felt. Likewise, in yogic philosophy, a big part of the yoga practice is arising out of this human nature to be dissatisfied, and that we need to somehow get beyond that and to somehow really move beyond the mind that is perpetually dissatisfied. So my own personal experience with this is that dissatisfaction has been a major teacher for me. As many of you would know from my personal story, just that I was a big student of the law of attraction, and I was a big student of the empowering worldview of many personal development points of view, which is that you create your life and that you can really live the best life that you can by going for it and by creating what you desire. And so I can remember looking around my apartment and really looking at it and say, wow, I've really you know, I would like to live in a bigger house, but overall, I've really set things up exactly as I wanted them. I have plenty of free time. I do make plenty of money. I have a good relationship. I, you know, have a great lifestyle with skiing, and I have good friends, and I, you know, I'm healthy. I have a, you know, good yoga practice. I like the food I eat. I have beautiful clothes. I have, you know, great colleagues. I'm on a positive path in my work. But I have everything I want, and I think this is, you know, something that most people who are really successful realize this, successful by our North American standard, or the modern, the terms of the modern world. They realize that it's a bunch of BS. And, you know, those moments of realizing that I had what I wanted and that I wasn't satisfied, you know, that's a different form of dissatisfaction that goes really deep, because it means that there's nothing outside of me that's going to solve this. It's not going to be solved by more success. It's not going to be solved by getting that amazing life partner. You know, it's not going to be solved by more money. It's not going to be solved by being, I don't know, somehow better or more. And yet, that's exactly what we're trained to believe, is that, you know, that we can find relief from dissatisfaction by getting what we want. Looking at typos, oops. But that's, you know, the culture we live in is a culture of excess. It tells us that once we get everything we want, we will be happy. And this leads us to seek satisfaction on the outside by changing the outer conditions. And then I love this biblical quote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." The interesting thing about the word "to want" is it actually implies lack. For example, you know, in legalese, this case wants for evidence means, you know, this case lacks evidence. So when we say I want something, I want love, it means I lack love. I'm seeking love because I feel like I lack it. I want money. I feel like I lack money, so I am looking for more. And I love this quote because it, you know, it's teaching us that when we can trust in something deeper, we don't lack. That there actually isn't a lack, that lack is just something we perceive. So the way out of dissatisfaction is through our dissatisfaction. It's not we don't get out of dissatisfaction by adjusting our outer circumstances to get what we want, but instead by going into the dissatisfaction and accessing the deeper truth that underlies the emotion of dissatisfaction. And once we get to that deeper truth, the irony is that often the outer world will bring us exactly what we felt we wanted anyway. So here are this is a process that I just put together on how to work with dissatisfaction. So let's actually do this together. And I'm going to invite you to grab a pen and a paper or a journal, something that you can write. I'm also going to get a pen. And I invite you to start by just thinking of an area of your life right now where you feel most dissatisfied. And, you know, something where you feel like uncomfortable, like you're not, there's something about your reality that you just don't want to accept as true. That you really see as a problem, or that it shouldn't be that way, you know, like, oh, it's offensive to you that reality is this way. So just choose one thing. It could be something small and simple. And just go ahead and write that down in a very short phrase, like 3 words. It could be, you know, you might just write down a person's name, or, you know, my current reality with money, my current reality with love, you know, what so-and-so said to me, whatever it is. Now, go ahead and ask yourself, what exactly is so hard for you to accept about this? What's the hardest thing for you to accept about this? And then just go ahead and write that down for a few minutes. Just being curious, open. What, you know, try to just honor yourself. That there's something about this that you don't like, that you don't want to accept, and be curious. Ask yourself and ask yourself with a curiosity to actually hear the answer of what, you know, what is it that's really so difficult for you to accept about this. So step 3 is to neutralize the emotional energy. So we'll do this a little bit right now. You know, you could do it to a more full extent by, you know, actually standing, I think would be more effective, but for now we're going to do a seated version. So take a moment, close your eyes, and in your body, identify the area in your body where you feel most emotional charge around this issue. And it might actually not feel emotional. It might actually just feel like tension in your body at this moment. So you might simply, by having written a little bit about it, notice some tension in your body. You might feel some emotion. Either is fine. Either way, choose the area in your physical body right now where you are noticing the most sensation. And then close your eyes and focus on feeling that sensation and breathing. So choosing to simply breathe and notice the sensation, intensely focus. So the moment that your attention begins to wander, bring it back to focusing with all of your consciousness onto that area where you notice discomfort or where you notice the most tension. Focus on your breathing. So you're simply breathing and feeling. You can continue with this step for as long as it takes, and you might need to come back to this step, depending on the level of intensity of the emotion. To neutralize it might take a while. It might take a few days, it might take a couple weeks, it might take a few minutes over the course of a whole day that you come back to it. So every time you breathe and feel, you are in the process of neutralizing that emotional energy. So now, inquire into the deeper truth. This quote has really stuck with me and influenced me over the past year or so since I heard it. That which is false troubles the heart, but truth brings joyous tranquility. So if there's something that's troubling you, there's something that you can't get off your mind, that is bothering you and bringing a heaviness to your heart, it's false. It's not true. So there's something deeper, a deeper truth that you're not understanding. And there's a deeper truth that once you realize it, brings joyous tranquility. I had a beautiful moment with this when I was struggling with a couple things with several different people. And a friend of mine said to me, none of those things are personal. It's actually just the way those people are. And if they could do differently, they would do differently. She said something along those lines. But something about the way she said it and about this idea that it wasn't personal really went into me. And I was instantly able to release something that had really been bothering me for quite a while, because I saw a deeper truth. And that deeper truth really set me free from the dissatisfaction I was having in that, with those relationships. I was able to completely let it go. So just take a moment right now. When you look at this situation, in your heart, sincerely ask, to see the deeper truth. Ask yourself, ask the universe, ask God, with a sincerity, a desire. Show me the deeper truth of this situation. What do I need to understand about this? What do I need to understand about this? What is the deeper truth of this situation? Beautiful. So dissatisfaction can be a catalyst to lead us into a deeper truth. And I would say the deeper the dissatisfaction, the deeper is our willingness to see the truth. And I'm going to read you a quote from an author who's been really influential for me named Jed McKenna. Jed McKenna writes books about becoming enlightened. So this book's called Spiritual Warfare. And he's talking about what it takes to move beyond the illusion of the separate self and to become enlightened. So he's not talking about someone who wants to just be successful or happy in life. He's talking about someone who actually wants to break through the veil, the illusion, and to move into enlightenment, which is certainly not something that all of us want. He says, personal revolution is fueled by emotional energy of the purest intensity. That intensity comes from focus. And that kind of focused emotional energy doesn't look like love or tranquility or compassion. It looks like seething rage or severe psychosis. It's an ugly fact of an ugly business, but that's how it works. Suicidal discontent. That's how revolutions are won, and that's why they so seldom are. Rockets aren't launched into space on chanting and prayers, and escaping the ego's gravity requires an equivalent amount of explosive force. We have to take all the emotional energy we normally blast out in 1,000 directions to keep our dream state characters animated and focus it on a single point. It's all or nothing. So I'm not suggesting that any of us move into that state of suicidal dissatisfaction. However, I do think that it's worthwhile to note that many of the people that we idolize as spiritual teachers, such as Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle's primary teaching is, be here now. but he doesn't explain or emphasize the fact that he spent years depressed, living like a homeless guy, completely disenfranchised with life, dysfunctional in the eyes of society, sitting on a park bench, depressed, ridden with anxiety. That was his path to enlightenment. That's what it took for him to break through the illusion of the separate self. Similarly, Byron Katie. Byron Katie's main teaching is about doing the work of questioning your thoughts. But what did it actually take for her to have her enlightenment moment? She was in such a deep depression for 10 years that she stopped being functional as a mother. She was mentally ill, living in in an attic. She didn't leave her house. She didn't change her clothes. People had to bring her food. She couldn't get out of bed. When she reached enlightenment, she was lying on the floor and she saw a cockroach. That was her moment. She was in such deep dissatisfaction to the point of sheer depression and dysfunction. That's what led her to enlightenment. So I think that we have a really rose-colored viewpoint of what it really takes. But those who do reach through the veil, they know that dissatisfaction leads to disillusionment, and disillusionment is a stripping away of the false and a seeing of the truth, and that doesn't usually feel good. Sometimes it's painful to see the truth, but again, the deeper the discomfort, the deeper is our willingness to see the truth. And sometimes our lies are hard won and hard fought for, and we want to hold on to them, and we don't want to see the truth. And the truth can be uncomfortable, but ultimately it sets us free. The truth sets you free. Deep satisfaction in the realms of love, sex, and genius arises not from getting what you want, but from living your truth. And the truth is found by stripping away the false, that which no longer really has a place in your life. I love, the quote or this idea that Michelangelo created his sculptures by seeing the block of marble and then simply chipping away everything that wasn't David. That he believed that David existed in that block of marble, and he was just taking away everything that wasn't David. So in a similar manner, the core skill here for accessing truth and living your truth is to let go of the false. So if you want more satisfaction in your life, you need to develop this ability to simply let go. And one of the things that cued me to the importance of sharing this idea as the next piece in our content was how much I heard from our group last month. I feel so overcommitted. I'm overwhelmed. I have so many things on my plate. I really got the feeling that most people in our group's lives are congested, that they're filled to the brim, that there's really no space for space, and there's no time for time. And without time and space and emptiness, there really isn't that much opportunity for you to be satisfied. So part of what we're moving in the direction of here is to let go and activate the vacuum law of prosperity. So I read about this concept in a pretty amazing book called I think it's called, I can't remember what it's called. It's by Catherine Ponder. Catherine Ponder is a Christian teacher, and she writes about this, it's something like the spiritual laws of prosperity or something like that. And one of the laws that she shares about is the vacuum law. And she says, if you're experiencing a lack of something, in this case, let's say you're experiencing a lack of satisfaction, then what you need to do is create a vacuum. You need to make space. And this idea that the universe abhors a vacuum. So if you want more of something, make a hole in your life. Let go, create space. And she gives the example of someone who wanted new clothes. And so what they did was they went into their closet and got rid of almost everything, so that there was a big hole in their closet, that they had even less clothes. And letting go of the old clothes then creates a vacuum for new clothes to come in. So I wrote a prayer. I am willing to see clearly what I need to see about what no longer serves me, what I need to let go of in order to fully allow the flow of life through me in the realms of love, sex, and genius. I'm willing to see, show me the way. So in order to let go, we first need to be aware of what no longer really has a true place in our lives. And this can be difficult. And I know the power of this because years ago, my friend Fiolin, my colleague Fiolin, and I, we co-created a process called Create a Vacuum for the Good to Come In. And it was basically a guided meditation that we took ourselves through to look at and see different aspects of our lives that really no longer had a place. And what happened when we finished this meditation was really surprising. We both went home. We had been at a retreat. We came home, and immediately we started going through our houses and just chucking things out. And we, both of us separately, we did the same thing. And it's like we couldn't even stand to have it in our lives anymore. We had to get rid of it. And we created this space for the new to come in.
Karen, are you still there? Karen?
You're all froze up, Karen.
Well, her internet may have gone out.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh no, she just created a huge vacuum. That's terrible. Or maybe not.
Well, I'm intrigued by, I mean, it's what they say in feng shui too. Oh, Karen's back.
Good. Oh, Karen.
Okay, so after that little interruption there, I'll just go back to what I was saying, which is that since that experience of doing that process with Fiolin, I have continued to return to this process and to identify things that are no longer serving me and to eliminate them and to really be I want to use the word scrupulous about what is occupying a space in my life. And, you know, I've become very minimalistic in my home, partly because of when I went through the process of letting go of things and leaving Canada to come to Mexico. I was shocked at how attached I was to my possessions when I tried to get rid of them. For example, I had spent a lot of money on clothing, and giving up that clothing and, you know, giving up the furniture that I had bought and all those little things was absolutely heart-wrenching. And I watched the movie Fight Club. And that movie, I mean, I don't recommend that movie. It's very violent, and to me, it's a sickening movie. But I literally was sick for 3 days after watching that movie. And part of it was because of how much it challenges our current materialism. And one of the quotes from that movie that really stuck with me is, what you own ends up owning you. And I believe that wholeheartedly after, oh my gosh, trying to get rid of things that I owned, because I realized that they owned me. I was so attached to those things energetically. There's a principle in yoga called aparigraha, which is about non-attachment and being non-attached. And I feel that letting go is such an essential ongoing practice in order to really find deep satisfaction. So in a moment, I'm going to invite you to try on a process. It's a guided meditation that's going to take you through, you know, an inventory of all aspects of your life to see what you are being asked to let go of. You know, what the deeper truth is of your life path, and what really has a space in your life, and what no longer does have a space in your life. And chances are, just the very thought of going into this process might be unsettling for you. Because anything that's occupying a space in your life currently is occupying a space in your life because there is a part of you that thinks it's important and that is attached to it. And so even just the idea of letting go of aspects of our lives is challenging, it's confronting. And yet, you know, as I've been sharing, the truth sets you free, and creating a space is essential. And, you know, Sarah was, while I dropped off the call, was talking about in Feng Shui how it's so important to empty, to create an empty vessel so that there's space to fill. You know, you can't, if you have a cup full of water, you can't put more water in it. There's no space. And so really what we're up to here is about creating space in your life for the ingredients that are of the essence. So a final concept that I will leave with you with is this idea of excess versus essential. That, you know, we live in a culture of excess that teaches us that more is better. And we live lives of excess where we've overcommitted, where we're using our energy in excess of what we actually have, where we're spending more money than we actually have. So we are overexerting ourselves energetically, and instead of living in excess, I encourage you to live in essence and essential. So and that requires discernment, you know, the ability to tell the difference between what is in excess, what is extra, and not essential, and what is essential. What aspects of your life are really supposed to be there, are really a part of your dharma, are really part of, you know, what you're here for, and that really have a true place in your life. And when you live in essential, in the essence, it's very satisfying. It might not be what you think you want. It might not be the most glamorous reality. But it, in its simplicity, will have a satisfaction to it. So from here, I invite you to go through the let go to flow process, and that is an additional recording to this one. Thank you so much.